Hi everyone, I'm Kellie Walters, the Department of Plant Sciences. What do long-duration sea voyages, citrus, and missions or journeys from Earth to Mars have in common? Scurvy. Scurvy. Okay, so let's pause. I'm in plant sciences. Why are we talking about scurvy? So let's bring it back to Earth for a little bit. In the US, we produce $2.7 to $2.9 billion worth of lettuce. And most of it, the vast, vast majority, is grown in California and Arizona. Areas where maybe they don't have that much water or it's not pretty regular. So how do we secure our food system? So one tool that we have is controlled environment agriculture, and that's the area that I work in. So here we have a picture of a greenhouse and a vertical farm, completely indoors in a vertical farm, and in a greenhouse we're using sunlight to help grow the plants. The beauty of controlled environment agriculture is that we can control the environment. We can largely take climate out of the equation and geographically diversify where we are growing our crops. Here's some pictures of a vertical farm in Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, some water issues there for growing lettuce outside. We can also grow in other places. So we could have greenhouses up in the snow in Michigan, or these two pictures here of an aquaponics facility in an old Ham's beer manufacturing facility. So they repurposed it in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we have Las Vegas, we have Minnesota, we have controlled environment agriculture here in Tennessee as well. The beauty of controlled environment agriculture is we can pull these different production levers. These two pictures here are of lettuce seedlings. They were sown on the same day, grown exactly the same. The only thing that was different was the amount of light we provided to these plants. They appear drastically different, don't they? So we can pull these different environmental levers, whether it's light intensity, light quality. This is always nice to show because the color of the light can impact how plants grow. Not just how they grow from a yield perspective, but from a visual, nutritional quality, flavor, etc. So bringing this back to why was I talking about scurvy? So some of the research we're doing is to improve the feasibility of, you guys decide to become an astronaut and go to Mars. You don't want to get scurvy. How do we prevent that? Plants can biosynthesize vitamin C. Leafy greens are pretty great at doing that. We're interested in other parameters as well. So water-soluble vitamins, including vitamin C, vitamin B1, lipid-soluble like vitamin K is deficient in the stored space diet, some different minerals, carotenoids to help mitigate some of the stressors of space radiation, anthocyanins, that's your purple pigmentation like you have in blueberries, and other parameters. So some of what we're doing from a research perspective is cultivar selection. Cultivars are cultivated varieties. So there are tons of kinds of Mizuna, for example. So many different kinds, and they all have different characteristics. So we evaluated a bunch of these different parameters that NASA is interested in supplementing that stored space diet. And we rank these different cultivated varieties, these cultivars, and we choose the top one, which was Green Amara. And then it's like, okay, Green Amara is good at some things, but not good at others. So the second cultivar we chose was Hybrid Red Mizuna, which was spicy. They have different flavors, different colors, different nutritional profiles. And then we took those and we did further studies. So we modified the amount of light they were getting, how long we were supplying the light, characterized that with all these different parameters. And then we said, okay, if we sow the seed and grow the plant and we harvest it, that's one route. But what if we just keep cutting it back? How long can we do that to optimize our resource use efficiency? So what we determined, we are providing these models to NASA on, okay, what's the most efficient way per day to supply thiamine or vitamin B1 via this Mizuna. And it was the high light treatment. So that's a lot of energy though. So then we take it and look at it on a per unit energy basis. And then we see per unit energy, it's our low light treatment that produced the most vitamin B1 per unit energy. What is the best? Well, that depends on what we're interested in, right? So we're providing these models to help facilitate these long-duration space missions. Now, okay, that's great for astronauts, but realistically, most of us are probably not going to become astronauts, so what about us humans here on Earth? We still have the same goals. Each bite you take, we want it to be the most nutritious it can be. We want it to be tasty. We want it to last a long time in our refrigerator. We want it to be the most resource intensive, or least resource intensive, goodness gracious. Seedling production versus finishing. You sow a seed, it takes a small amount of space versus a larger plant takes much more space. In this instance, 36 times. Propagation, that seedling stage, is shorter than finishing. Anyway, this is going too fast. I have too many graphs because I'm an academic. Okay, so propagation. If we increase the amount of light, we can increase the yield drastically, 275% here for lettuce. Now, if we just supply that high light during the propagation stage, and then we put it into a common environment in the greenhouse, we can have big differences in yield that still persists. So some of what my lab is doing is how can we make our production the most resource use efficient here on Earth? Now, we're not just interested in yield here. Again, we're interested in that nutritional quality for you and me as well. So what about something like carotenoids that includes provitamin A, right? As we change the amount of light just in that first 2 weeks of growth, we can drastically alter the nutritional quality of our lettuce. And that's just not at the 2 weeks, that's 3 weeks later after growing in a common greenhouse environment. So how we grow our lettuce or other crops, can drastically alter the nutritional quality. So again, controlled environment agriculture, the opportunity to geographically diversify, to grow plants the best way we can to optimize appearance, biomass production, nutritional quality, and that flavor and aroma. Thank you, guys.